2 people were killed and 6 others were injured Wednesday evening in a shooting that broke out in a church parking lot in Salt Lake City, turning what was meant to be a solemn funeral gathering into a scene of chaos, fear, and heartbreak. The incident unfolded in the Rose Park neighborhood of Salt Lake City, where police say a fight escalated into gunfire outside a church meetinghouse. Authorities confirmed that all of the victims were adults and that multiple people were rushed to hospitals with gunshot wounds. As of late Wednesday night, suspects remained at large, and investigators described the situation as fluid and ongoing. According to Salt Lake City Police, the shooting occurred just after 7:30 p.m. outside a meetinghouse of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, located at 660 North Redwood Road. Officers and firefighters were dispatched to the scene following reports of gunfire during a funeral service taking place inside the building. When first responders arrived, they found multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds, but the shooter or shooters had already fled the area. Police spokesman Glenn Mills said officers immediately began life-saving efforts while securing the scene and searching for suspects. The situation still is very fluid, Mills said during an initial briefing. At this point, we know there are at least 8 victims. 2 of them have died, 3 are in critical condition, and 3 others are in unknown condition. Salt Lake City Police Chief Brian Redd later confirmed that all of the victims were adults and emphasized that investigators were still working to determine exactly how many suspects were involved and what led to the violence. Police say the shooting stemmed from a fight that broke out in the parking lot outside the church during the funeral. Investigators have not yet confirmed whether the suspect or suspects were attending the service or if the confrontation was connected to the funeral itself. Authorities established a large search perimeter shortly after the shooting. Redwood Road was closed between 500 North and 700 North, with the perimeter extending west toward the Jordan River. A suspect vehicle was last seen traveling northbound on Redwood Road, according to police. Witnesses described a terrifying scene as gunfire erupted outside the meetinghouse. The shots were fired outside, but you could definitely hear them inside, said Dom Fifea, who was attending the funeral with his wife. It was pretty loud. Inside, everything went quiet, and then those shots just shook the whole place. Fifea said funeral attendees were instructed to remain inside the building as officers worked to secure the area. Many people inside the church feared for loved ones who had been outside moments earlier. Other bystanders told local media they were desperately waiting for word about family members who had attended the service. The meetinghouse serves 2 Tongan Latter-day Saint congregations, according to church records, and many attendees were members of the close-knit community. Police confirmed that some of the injured victims were transported to hospitals by private vehicles before officers arrived. Those individuals were later identified and linked to the scene as investigators worked to piece together a full timeline of events. At around 10 p.m., witnesses observed one person being taken from the meetinghouse in handcuffs and placed into a police vehicle. However, authorities have not said whether that individual is a suspect, a witness, or someone detained for questioning. Through this process, we have detained individuals, Chief Redd said, declining to provide further details. We're following up on multiple leads. Redd emphasized that police do not believe the shooting was a random act of violence or a targeted attack against a religious group. He also confirmed that the department's gang unit was involved in the investigation, suggesting the possibility of prior connections or disputes that may have contributed to the incident. Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall joined police leadership at the press conference, offering condolences to the victims and their families and condemning the violence. This should never have happened, she said. It should never have happened outside a place of worship. It should never have happened at a celebration of life. She added that the tragedy has deeply affected the entire community and vowed that law enforcement would continue working until those responsible are brought to justice. Chief Redd echoed that commitment, saying police would not rest until the shooters are found and held accountable. Nearby residents described hearing multiple rounds of gunfire and the chaos that followed. A couple who live in a nearby apartment complex said they heard 4 to 5 gunshots, followed by several more later. He opened the door and heard crying, screaming, and wailing, the woman said, referring to her husband. He said something's going on at the church over there. Her husband described the emotional toll of witnessing the aftermath. I've lived here all my life. I knew this area had crime growing up, but for something like this to happen at a funeral so close to home, it's terrifying. Church leaders released a statement late Wednesday night confirming their cooperation with law enforcement and expressing sorrow over the tragedy. We're aware of a serious incident that occurred outside a church meetinghouse as a memorial service was being held, the statement said. We are grateful for the efforts of first responders and extend prayers for all who have been impacted by this tragedy. The statement also emphasized concern that a sacred space intended for worship and remembrance was affected by violence. As the investigation expanded, federal authorities also became involved. The FBI Salt Lake City field office said it was aware of the incident and had offered assistance to local police. The Salt Lake City Council issued a message of support for the Rose Park community, urging residents to rely on official sources for updates as investigators continue their work. Utah Senator Mike Lee also weighed in, calling the shooting senseless violence and encouraging anyone with information to come forward. Police are asking anyone who witnessed the incident or has information about the suspects to contact Salt Lake City Police Dispatch at 801-7993-00. As of early Thursday morning, Redwood Road remained closed, with transportation officials saying closures could last into the early hours as investigators processed the scene. For a community already gathered to mourn, Wednesday night's violence added another layer of grief and trauma. Investigators continue working to determine what led to the shooting, who was responsible, and how to prevent similar tragedies in the future. This remains a developing story, and authorities say more information will be released as it becomes available.